Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Ralph Nader, thanks for letting us cram you in. I know the Washington Post is waiting. 2 points. You've now spoken out about the congressman on the record saying if they were to impeach George Bush, he would launch some type of attack on Iran and then declare martial law. We know that's in PDD 51. We know that's in the John Warner Defense Authorization Act. A. And then B, I'd like you to speak to Bush wanting Cheney wanting to stage attacks, according to Cy Hirsch in New Yorker magazine, against our own ships in the Strait of Hormuz to start a war, and you're now calling for a new 9/11 investigation. Please answer those two questions, sir.
First of all, clarification on Iran. I didn't say I believed that would be the case. I said that it's important for people to be wary of an October surprise to affect the election by Bush and Cheney. October surprise could be directed toward Iran.
Well, no, I mean, I'm saying you were saying you thought that was an interesting article. Yeah, you bumped into Karl Rove.
I bumped into Karl Rove. You know, when you were at the Democratic National Convention, Alex, I bumped into Karl Rove, who was waiting in front of me to be interviewed at Fox News. And I asked him about this. He said, absolutely not. I said, give me reasons why there's not going to be an attack on Iran. He said, one, the majority of the people are against the Iranian regime, and their favorite program is a cable show out of L.A. and California by Iranian Americans. And second, that it would completely devastate our feelers and diplomatic efforts in that direction. So he was very adamant. I mean, you can take that with a grain of salt, but I'm just telling you that's what he said. On the 9/11 investigation, I'm always asked about that, and what I say and what I've just said today in a press release going out is that this is a woefully inadequate and incomplete investigation. First of all, it was gravely underfunded to begin with. Bush and Cheney didn't even want an independent investigation if it wasn't for the bereaved family members of the attack who pressed and demanded it. We wouldn't even had it. And then there was a question about its independence. You remember they wanted Henry Kissinger to head it, and he had to drop out because he had a conflict of interest with his corporate clients, etc. And third, they started out saying they weren't going to name names or hold anybody responsible. What kind of investigation process is that? I mean, that is ridiculous. Finally, there are just a lot of questions that have been raised. Some of them that appear to be sound, some of them appear to be plausible, some of them appear to be outlandish, and more of the American people are generating skepticism about what happened before, during, and after the 9/11 attack. So I think we need another independent investigative effort, whether it's by the voters in a referendum in New York City, which is underway, or by some other independent authoritative force that can have subpoena power and adequate funding. The interesting thing about this is that this is what I've been pressing for. I want a 4-hour debate at the National Press Club, Alex, with an intermission, between a leading proponent supporting the 9/11 investigation and report and a leading opponent, with all the press there. Because it's like ships passing in the night. You got the proponents coming forth, you got the critics coming forth,
and they shoot volleys at each other. Yeah, they shoot volleys.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's something that can be done, and it can be done fast before the election, and it would be sensational because, you know, as someone who's skilled in polemics, if A makes a charge against B's position and B makes a charge against A's position, and then they go at it on one issue after another, 5, 6 exchanges, you know, someone's going to be left on the floor after that.
And we know who that's going to be. Well, in closing, we've only got about 2 minutes left with you. In closing, to be specific about my statement and what you said in Denver, you're saying there has been false flag or provocations or Gulf of Tonkin events before, and you were saying that Cy Hirsch story needed to be looked at. I'm not saying you were saying it was going to happen, but is government-sponsored terror throughout history with other governments, our government, is that real?
Oh, of course. I mean, the greatest civilian casualties, whether in World War II, World War I, and all the way to today, are state-sponsored. I mean, 1 million civilians in Iraq have lost their lives.
But I mean, government
hundreds of more Palestinian civilians have lost their lives compared to Israeli.
Sir, but But what I'm saying is governments do stage events and blame it on their enemies.
Well, sure. I mean, look at the Tonkin Gulf Resolution, right, by Lyndon Johnson during the war, and provocations in order to enter into hostilities. I mean, we did it in 1898, with Cuba, and it's
Operation Ajax.
It's just something that should be inquired into. I think most Americans want that.
Okay, in closing, I want to give out your website. Tell folks about it. I'm really supporting you now because you're getting hardcore. You've always been hardcore, but more and more you're really hitting on all cylinders and, on my opinion, from my perspective. But in closing, 1 minute, you were 2 days ago, big press conference with Ron Paul. He's saying support independence now more than ever. We need some type of fusion party for this election, for the next. There's more support than ever. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, never in American history have libertarians and conservative parties got together with progressive and green parties, and they did yesterday, as you said, at the National Press Club at a press conference, and they got together on 4 issues: foreign policy, we got to get out of Iraq, stop policing the world, etc., take the threat of a nuclear first strike off against all nations. Second, privacy, Patriot Act, Military Commissions Act, FISA legislation, snooping. We got to reject the practice of torture, elimination of habeas corpus, secret tribunals, secret prisons. Got to get rid of immunity for corporations like the telephone companies that spy on the American people, and reject the unitary presidency, which is undermining the U.S. Constitution. 3, the national debate. We're putting taxes on our kids and grandkids, financing the war in Iraq through deficit financing. Finally, the Federal Reserve is a government within a government. It's not accountable. It's funded by the banks. It needs to be thoroughly investigated. And finally, there should be a crackdown aggressively on corporate crimes, corporate criminals, and frauds. Can you imagine?
Mr. Nader, we're out of time. Give your website. Say it again.
Our website, Alex, is votenader.org. You can get this historic concurrence with all these parties, with Ron Paul being the moderator yesterday to National Press Club.
Stay there for 1 second. Votenader.org.